Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. Now we're having some fun. My printer's getting excited over here. Now we are having some fun. The Knicks win. The Knicks win. The Knicks win. I have said that phrase as many times this season as I have said the Knicks lost. And we are not 2 games into the season. We're not 4 games into the season. We're not 8 games into the season. We are 16 games into the season. And the Knicks are 500. You know, I don't know. Is it 24 other NBA cities, maybe 25? That's not something worth getting excited about. In this NBA city, it is worth getting excited about. I'm going to talk about RJ Barrett in a second because, man, I'm wondering actually. I don't have any crow in the house. I have some cold chicken. I put a whole chicken in the air fryer last night, and I have a piece left over that maybe I should eat because I don't have any crow to eat. So that would have to do. But the first thing I just want to say is this. You know, the offense had a really good night tonight, and I think a lot of that had to do with Alec Burks being back. I know he played mostly with the second unit, and the first unit did a lot of the damage, but I do think his presence was notable, and it was definitely felt. And just having another guy who's just – he doesn't need any room to fire away. He has no hesitation firing away. Macri doesn't deserve RJ. Hope he keeps hating. I love people, man. You know, I think Burks being back is big because, again, they don't have any guys like that. Thus far, it's just been Bullock, which is why I've been saying for weeks I like Bullock on this team, and I think Bullock's going to have a big role. And I think we needed to wait for him to get over his shooting slump because with Burks out, he was the only guy willing to put it up without hesitation. And I think you saw that tonight, and lo and behold, when Bullock is actually hitting shots, it completely changes the complexion of that starting five. And I mentioned it on my halftime Zoom for my newsletter subscribers. This starting five has now played more minutes than any 5-man unit in the NBA. And it's not close either. They're going to be, after tonight, I think they're going to be close to 250 minutes played together. And then after the next closest is going to be, you know, a little bit over 200. There has been some real cohesion that has developed among this 5-man unit. And you saw it tonight on both ends of the floor. You saw it in the offense. You saw it in the defense. Look, they're not perfect. We don't need to talk about the fact that they have no spacing. We don't need to talk about the fact that Elfrid Payton on one possession earlier tonight, thank God it didn't come back to haunt them, missed 2 free throws and 2 threes on essentially one possession. You know, and that's hard, and that's an impediment. And my gut feeling is that at some point the Knicks will look to make an upgrade because I think I have to think the front office, not that I have to think, I have a little bit of knowledge to confirm that the front office is looking at this thing and being like, holy shit, this team is actually pretty decent. And they may look to make an upgrade. But just focus on what's here for right now because what's here is good. And the defense in particular, you know, they ended up, I think, giving up 104 points to this Warriors team. And that was with some sloppy defense in the first half. And, you know, they gave up some points late that were, you know, I think they could have held this team under 100 points tonight if they really wanted to. And that was legit. I think the defense is absolutely legit. If I tell you guys, I've been spending some time diving deep on some numbers to try to figure out how much of this is luck and how much of this is real. Let me just say that, yeah, of course there's some luck involved, but there is precedent for teams doing this, which is to say giving up a fair amount of open threes, but the right type of threes, meaning above the break threes. Not corner threes. They take away corner threes pretty well and giving them up to the right guys. The Celtics did it for years under Brad Stevens. The Mavs have actually done it over the last I don't know, 5, 6 years, most of those years under Rick Carlisle with good results. Teams that know what they're doing know what they're doing. And the Knicks haven't known what they're doing for a very long time, but under Tom Thibodeau, they seem to know what they're doing. And I think it's rarer and rarer that we are seeing them give up wide open shots to a guy. You know, if you're like me, you'll watch a game and a certain guy will get a wide open shot, and you just like close your eyes and look up at the ceiling because you don't even need to see it. You know it's going to go in. There's been less and less of those shots given up by this Knicks defense since the beginning of the season, and that feels real to me. And they're still not really taking away the paint, but they're taking away the paint enough, and they're just making life very, very hard for teams on offense. Someone's saying I'm flipping the script. I've been saying this team is bad for most of the season. Yes, every time I have come on here, whether or Periscope or the podcast or in the newsletter or whatever, I preface it by saying that the Knicks are bad, but the Knicks aren't bad anymore. The Knicks are not a bad team anymore. I'm not willing to say they're a good team yet because, thank you, by the way, Maurice. I'm not willing to say they're a good team yet because good teams are able to win with offense and defense. And I think right now this team is only going to be able to win with defense on most nights. And if their offense isn't going, they're going to have a tough time still winning games against good teams. And this Warrior team is a decent team. This Warrior team, I've watched a little bit of them. I've paid attention to their statistical progression. They've been playing pretty good. They're 4-2 over the last 6 games, above even net rating. This and on the road, that I think that still matters for them. This is a good win against, I don't know whether they're the 15th best team in the league, 17th best team in the league, 13th best team in the league, something around there. But the team is coming off a blowout against the Spurs and a win against the Lakers, in which they came back. So this is not a win to just this isn't to me like some of the wins they've had this season where, Orlando can hit the far side of a barn, or the Celtics are having a particularly off shooting night, over and above what the Knicks defense was actually doing to impede their efforts. This was a good win. So they're 8-8 now. I mean, 16 games in, 8-8. I think their net rating tonight, after tonight's game, is going to be, it's still going to be under even, but it's going to be pretty close to 0. So, man, and just, I thought it was notable. This is the first time they've had 2 days off, I think, all season, since maybe the first. They opened the year on Wednesday, and then this may be the first time all season they've had 2 games off. Maybe there's one other time that I'm forgetting, but the cohesion that we saw tonight was really notable, and that will let me go over to the offense, so that'll let me go over to talking about. I think I don't know who to talk about first, because look, RJ had a career high. I got to take a sip of my dark rum. I'm switching to dark rum from Scotch for tonight because I got a lovely bottle of dark rum, 10-1 dark rum sent to me that I've been enjoying. I've said a lot of unkind things about RJ Barrett. Actually, no, let me rephrase that. I've said a lot of unkind things about RJ Barrett's rookie season in the 9 months leading up to this year. And I've said some unkind things about RJ Barrett over the last several weeks, specifically as it pertains to what is he going to be if he can't shoot. I still have concerns about what he can be if he can't shoot. But those concerns at this point are more like, if he's not a shooter, then he's the 4th best starter on a really good team, as opposed to at other times, definitely during the summer, it was more like, can he even start for a good team if he's not a shooter? Because what else can he do really well? And one thing I've been critical of RJ all year about is his lack of passing in situations that called for it. And everybody's going to point to the career high because obviously he had a career high. And when you get a career high, that's going to get you a decent amount of attention. But my personal favorite thing about RJ Barrett tonight, I don't know. Here, I'm looking at it now. He had 5 assists, and I don't think those 5 assists actually really encompassed how often he was looking to make the right play for his teammates. He had a few passes that didn't result in a basket that were really, really good. And he's starting to get more and more comfortable with the fact that he can draw defenses to him. And even with his struggles finishing at the rim, which sadly do still exist, those are still there. Yeah, he did get some missed shot assists to Mitch. Like he's a guy that's going to draw attention. And I think that much has become obvious at this point because he is that type of dude. And last season, he would draw that attention and he would rush it and he would have these not quite out of control layup attempts. But like, let me just hurry up and get to the basket as fast as possible and put up a shot and I hope it goes in. A lot of them didn't go in. We have seen a lot of those replaced by a more patient approach. And that as the next progression of RJ Barrett, and tonight, I know, what did he hit? 2 threes, I think, tonight. So like, it's not like his career high came as a result of randomly getting hot from behind the arc. His career high, he was 2 of 3 from 3. His career high came as a result of doing the things that RJ Barrett's capable of doing. Getting to the line, he shot 8 free throws. He made 6 of them. Someone's saying RJ's a poor man's LeBron. I don't know about poor man's LeBron. I've always been calling him the poor man's Jimmy Butler, and now, shout out to my friend Yash, I don't know how poor man of a Jimmy Butler he is, because Jimmy Butler, when Jimmy Butler was 20 years old, Jimmy Butler was still at Marquette. I think he was like a junior at Marquette when he was 20 years old. And then 3 years, 4 years, 5 years into his career under Tom Thibodeau, by the way, Jimmy Butler became Jimmy Butler. Well, guess what? RJ Barrett still has, and this is why I've always been hopeful. And if anybody has actually gone past the hot takes and and the sound bites and read what I've written about RJ, again, all through the last 9 months, I was always hopeful. But I was just concerned because I'm like, okay, we have to bank on the fact that this 20-year-old kid is going to continue to progress at a certain rate. And I think what we've seen now through 16 games is he has progressed at the rate we needed to see to be hopeful that, what is he? Is he an all-star? Is he, I don't know. But he's a guy that can help you win games, and he's a guy that could help you win games playing an important role for your team. And that's really the difference. Is how much can you rely on this guy? How much can you put on this guy's shoulders? And I think we're starting to see that maybe you can start to put a little bit more on his shoulders. And boy, oh boy, would I love to see this team with another piece in addition to Randall and RJ, because I haven't even mentioned Randall. And Randall, he didn't get his triple-double tonight. He should have, because, my God, it's like the basketball gods didn't want to give him a triple-double. He had that beautiful alley-oop attempt to Mitch that Mitch missed. He had a couple other passes that should have been assists. No, it's not too excited to get too excited for our Knicks. Randall is definitely an all-star this year. Kudos to Andrew Kim for saying that. But look at Randall's stat line. So he was 7 of 7 from the line. Just absolutely love it. 17 rebounds, matching a season high. He might be in the top 5 in rebounds. Well, he's definitely going to be in the top 3 or 4 in defensive rebounds after tonight. 9 assists, 16 points, was overly looking to make the pass. 16 points on 11 shots. He was only 4-11 from the field. But just what else could you say about Julius Randle other than that? If the Knicks are, I don't know, 36 games have been played, so we have 20 games into the All-Star break. If the Knicks could go 8-12 in their next 20 games, which means they'd be 4 games below 500 at the All-Star break, and RJ and Julius Randle keeps up 90% of what he's doing right now, Julius Randle's an All-Star. I'll start taking some questions. Would you be willing to put both Quickly and Knox in a package for Ball? I wouldn't be willing to put either Quickly or Knox in a package for Ball. And I wrote about this the other day. It's not because I think Kevin Knox is going to be a better player long term than Lonzo Ball. I think if Lonzo Ball comes here and looks good, he's going to command $15 million a year, as opposed to Kevin Knox. I could have Kevin Knox next season on $6 million and then decide what I want to do with him as he's a restricted free agent. And I also think Kevin Knox's shooting is real. I know he didn't make a huge impact tonight, but I'm still very high on Kevin Knox. Macri, how is our upcoming schedule looking? Is it getting easier? Well, funny you should ask that. Hold on, I have to retweet the old Knicks Film School account because they have a good tweet about RJ Barrett. I'll actually read it right here. RJ Barrett's last 5 games: 28-2-5, 22-10-4, 19-11-3, 24-3, 25-3. Good God, you gotta love it. Our next couple of games, we play the worst defense in the league tomorrow against Sacramento. I'm looking at the minutes totals right now for this game, and I would have liked to see some of the starters play a few less minutes. RJ played 36 minutes. Randall played 36 minutes. Peyton actually played 37 minutes because Quickly was having a little bit of difficulty running the offense. But you could score points against Sacramento. They have, as of press time, the worst defense in the history of the league. And then we get a day off. Then we go to Portland, who is missing both CJ McCollum and Yusuf Nurkic. So possibility for a win in Portland. And then Utah, who I'm sure is going to want to make up for the fact that they blew one in MSG. Then we come back home and play Cleveland and the Clippers, who are looking good. So there's an opportunity for some wins on the schedule, which is great. Jaime, I think, Chavez asks, do you think Coach Tibbs will ever run some plays for Mitchell Robinson? He looked amazing tonight. I think the Knicks' entire offense, when Mitchell Robinson is in the game, is predicated on getting Mitchell Robinson the ball for lob attempts. And I thought you saw that a lot over the second half. And Mitch just, I don't know whether he was – it's funny to say this about a guy who had a really nice night statistically. I actually think he was a little off. I think there's a lot of baskets that Mitchell could have had that he didn't convert. But, like, Mitchell Robinson as a vertical threat on offense is, other than Julius Randle, he's the best thing they have going for them. And teams guard against that on every possession. So in terms of calling plays for Mitch, like, no, they're not dumping the ball down to Mitchell Robinson and asking him to, do something in the post, because that's not Mitchell Robinson's game. Mitchell Robinson's game is to just provide that verticality on the offensive end and obviously what he does on defense. But I think they try to do that pretty much on every possession. I don't think there's a possession that goes by where at some point during it this season, Mitch is making the defense think about what he could be doing. Let's see what else we got. The Knicks should and will not trade for Steph Curry. Man, Steph Curry ain't going anywhere. How can we sell high on Randall? Who should Big Leon call first, Portland or Utah? I think we're getting to the point where, like, the first 5 or 6 games of this year, if you would have been like, oh, the Knicks could get a first-round pick in this year's draft for Julius Randle, I might have jumped at that chance. And I might have said, oh, wow, super small sample size. Let's go ahead and take advantage of this while we can. Then after 10 or 12 games, I was more like, nah, I think we need a first-round pick and a decent young player for Julius Randle. And now, after we're seeing this shit, boy, I just don't know that you could trade a guy who is playing, not like I'm having a good season all-star, but like I'm a legitimate all-star with how I'm playing, for just a middling first-round pick, even in a pretty good draft, and a young player who's like an uncertainty. I don't think you could trade Julius Randle right now. I mean, obviously, yes, there's every player in the NBA is tradable, absent, Luka Doncic and LeBron James. But I don't know that Julius Randle is a trade candidate anymore. I think we need to stop having that conversation, and I think we need to start having the conversation of, okay, how can the Knicks figure out how to build around Julius Randle and RJ Barrett and, maybe a couple other of those pieces that are here, but definitely those two. We definitely have a gritty side to us. I agree with that. Brooklyn Charlie. Nice name. I like that. Is Obi just a more athletic Enes Kanter? Obi did something tonight that I don't think I saw Enes Kanter do in 2 years here, and that's block a shot. And he blocked the shot fairly athletically. I want to see more of Obi in situations where he just has to worry about patrolling the paint and not like moving around on the perimeter, not like making decisions about, oh, wait, who do I help off of right now? I think he's shown some progress there, but I actually am I've been saying this a lot. I'm higher on Obi Toppin's defense than others. I just want to see him more as a 5, which I know seems crazy, but I'd like to see it before I write it off as something that's nuts. Let's see what else. I'm going to take a couple more questions. We've hit the 20-minute mark, and this is going on the tail end of the podcast, so I'm going to finish up quick. He definitely has the Amari Stoudemire dunk package. Who is out of the rotation once Burks and Rivers are healthy? Man, I can't get by one of these live streams without someone asking me about the rotation. I don't think Burks is going anywhere. I don't think Bullock's going anywhere. Quickly's not going anywhere. Knox isn't going anywhere. Gosh. You stumped the lawyer. I don't know. I mean, so Jason M. wrote Knox. Knox has been their best three-point shooter this year, and he's been good enough on defense, and he's making enough progress. And the only thing I'll say, yeah, Jacob just said it, 11. Tom Thibodeau has never played an 11-man rotation over the course of his career as a coach. Never once has done it. He's gone with 9-man rotations, 9.5, sometimes 10. Never gone with 11. I don't know what you do, and I'm inclined to say that this season, here's my answer. This is a cop-out. I'm going to say this is a cop-out. So don't anybody tell me, Macri, you're copping out here. I'm admitting it. I'm copping out here. I think they're going to keep doing what they did tonight. I think they're going to keep taking guys who may be a little banged up. This is a condensed season. A lot of, like we're seeing right now, 3 games in 4 nights, back-to-backs, where if a something's a little off, they're going to rest that guy. And they're going to keep rotating in and out of different guys. And I think Tom Thibodeau is going to avoid having to make that decision about the rotation until they make a trade. And the last thing I'll say is I think they will eventually make a trade. I really don't feel comfortable predicting who or what that's going to be. But the last thing is Frank still alive? Somebody asks. Michael Lemieux. Lemieux? I hope I got that right. Should be sent to search party. Frank's alive. He's just hurt, and if you think the moment that Frank is back and healthy, he's going to walk right into this rotation, I think he got another thing coming. And it's not because he didn't play well when he was healthy. It's just, other guys have also played well. Anyway, I think they'll make a trade. I don't know what it's going to be for, but this front office, I'm going to write about this next week because I want to confirm this, but let's just say I have a pretty good suspicion that they are thinking they can make a real step forward as an organization this season and maybe make a little bit of a playoff push. And I know a lot of people who are pro, tanking may hear that and be like, oh, great, we're going to be an 8 seed or 9 seed or 10 seed, and we're going to wind up with the 11th pick in the draft. Well, let's see if they go about that route. Let's see how they go about it before calling that the wrong plan of attack, because and this is the last thing I'll say. This feels sustainable, what they're doing, and it feels like they're doing it with guys who are going to be here for a while. I know Obi Toppin and Emmanuel Quickley are not starring right now. Same thing with Kevin Knox. But boy, oh boy, is this all on the backs of R.J. Barrett and Julius Randle. And there is no reason that R.J. Barrett and Julius Randle can't be here for the long term. Not to mention Mitchell Robinson, who's obviously playing a big role. Not to mention 1 or 2 of these other guys that they brought in on 1-year deals. There's no reason not to think that they can't be here long term as well. I think that they're going to ride this thing out. And if that means making a trade for an upgrade, I think they might make a trade for an upgrade. Okay, last question from Zach Kopelman. Do you still view this year's pick as almost untradeable? Um, It's a great question. Nothing's untradeable. But no, I don't think they'll trade it unless they're getting a guy who is like there's only one guy who I think is available potentially that they would include this year's pick for, and I do not think he is a guy that the Knicks should go out and enter themselves into the conversation for if and when he becomes available. And I don't even want to say his name. He plays in Washington. He's going to get traded at some point. I'm not there yet. I can't get there right now, but we'll see. We'll see what happens. But this team's fun, and this team is pretty real, and that's really exciting. And let's all enjoy it because the Knicks are 8-8. So shit, how many times have we been able to say that after 16 games? I mean, the fact that this is the last thing I'm going to say. Famous last words. There are 471 people watching this right now. It is 1:00 in the morning on the East Coast. And I know all of these people aren't out there on California or in Hawaii or France or wherever the hell it's a different time zone. This team has fan support unlike any organization in basketball and like few organizations in sports. And that is a real commodity. And it is something that I continue every time somebody was like, nobody's mentioned Dolan. How wonderful is this? For every time anybody mentioned James Dolan or the fact that they've sucked for the last 20 years, the fact that there is a different vibe when this team is doing good as opposed to when almost any other team in the league is doing good, that matters. So kudos to everybody here. Man, this is fun. I hope this keeps going because I'm enjoying the hell out of this. Brooklyn Nets too. Somebody watching in from Arizona. I love that. Anyway, all right. I'm gonna go get my producer Andrew Claudio. God love him. He has to convert my gobbledygook into a podcast right now. So Andrew, if you're watching right now, thank you. And yes, we'll be back at it again tomorrow. And let's go Knicks, baby. Happy Friday, everybody.